This is a multi-generational service, and I am so happy to see so many people of all ages here with us in the sanctuary. So for an all-ages service, we invite kids to stay with us for the whole hour rather than going to religious exploration. But for those who need it, there is childcare available across the way, right across the courtyard with Audrey. So we're going to tell a couple stories today. The first one we're going to tell is rather non-traditional, but for those of you who know Unitarian Universalism, that should be expected, that we're going to, switch things up a little bit, which we will do. So we have a number of people who are going to help us with this story. Can our readers and volunteers come forward? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, but you feel like moving your body and being expressive, come on up and join us. We'll figure it out together. You will know what to do. So we have Sedona and Will who will be reading our story. Anybody who wants to move and play, come on up. You can stand in your seat and do it if you want.
There was once a seed who lived in a drawer in a room of a mansion by a beautiful shore.
The drawer was filled up with seeds of all kinds for bushes and trees and flowering vines. The seed was quite happy and had lots to do. The drawer was quite pretty and painted bright blue.
Cozy and warm, the seed felt secure. The drawer was a playground, of this she was sure.
But all was not well. The seed was afraid that she would be taken and planted one day. The mansion, you see, was owned by a man whose hobby was gardening and tending his land.
The man sometimes took a seed from the drawer, and no one would see that seed anymore. The seed was so scared there might come a day the man would reach down and take her away. The thought was just awful and hard to believe. She couldn't imagine that she'd have to leave.
Then one dark day, the drawer opened wide. The seed saw a hand reach down from inside. She tried to escape. She begged and cried, but there was no place to run or to hide. The hand clasped around her. The seed shook with fear. She yelled to the man, "Don't take me from here."
Outside in the garden, the seed looked around. She saw, to his horror, a hole in the ground. A hole in the ground. Oh no, it can't be. I want to go back to my drawer. Can't you see?
I'm scared to be planted. I want to be free. I'm in so much pain and such agony.
The man was just silent. He made not a sound. He smiled softly and put the seed down. The sky was deep purple. The seed said a prayer. The man stood above her and buried her there.
She started to moan. She started to groan. She felt so abandoned, forsaken, alone. Tired and frightened, she started to weep. But soon she closed her eyes and fell fast asleep.
All covered with dirt, she dreamed she would die, but then all at once, in the blink of an eye, something took place there in that hole. To the seed's weary body and terrified soul, she started to change, she started to glow. The little seed stretched and started to grow. What can be happening? The little seed cried. What is this feeling I have deep inside?
Her body expanded, she swelled and she grew. She rose in the dirt till her head wiggled through.
Once through the soil she saw a great light. The sun in the sky was dazzling bright.
Slowly but surely, the seed was aware of rising and climbing up into the air. At last, the seed realized, at last she could see, she was really and truly becoming a tree.
Higher and higher the little tree went, into the heavens she made her ascent. Suddenly branches sprang from her side, hundreds and hundreds of leaves multiplied. The branches grew nuts and fruits that hung down, they swayed in the breeze and covered the ground. Then filling the air with fragrant perfumes, the tree sprouted flowers and blossoms and blooms.
Then birds began building nests for their young, joyfully flapping their wings as they sung. In the tree's branches, the baby bird snapped, while woodpeckers pecked at her bark full of sap.
Cardinals and blue jays flew from above. They played with the eagles and owls and doves. Squirrels and rabbits began to appear. Beautiful butterflies came flying near.
The tree was amazed. She looked at the scene. The sky was so blue, the garden so green. Mountains and vineyards and cities she saw. Millions of dwellings looked over the shore.
The tree was so thankful and heavy with fruit, she bowed to the man in humble salute. The man stood below, a smile on his face. His children were running all over the place.
They climbed up the tree. They swung from her vines. They seemed to be having the happiest time.
The garden was sunlit. The tree was aware of laughter and music and life everywhere. Life in the garden, life on the shore, so much more life than she had in the drawer. A breeze stirred her leaves, a wind howled through. The tree understood that all things were new.
The tree understood that she had been freed. She barely remembered when she was a seed. She barely remembered her life in the drawer. Her fears disappeared and returned nevermore.
Wow, that was wonderful. Loved it. So, I have the privilege on this Earth Day, this Easter, this last day of Passover, to deliver this reflection that I worked on with the insight of our wonderful Rev Tovis, entitled Breaking Open. Are we the seed who lived in a drawer, in a room of a mansion by a beautiful shore? Are we like the seed who has grown accustomed to our routine or to our own specific social location? Is it possible that we become comfortable and maybe not so eager to take chances that would put our situation at risk? We are all worried about what is going on in the wider world, but we may be hesitant to act outside of our comfort zone. Like the seed, we feel cozy, warm, and secure in our familiar drawer. And although we may not be ready for change, change is inevitable. One of the greatest fears that we encounter in this life is the fear of the unknown. Like the seed, we are fearful of that which we do not know. In that dark, dank hole covered with dirt, the seed faced the same fears that we all face. Why am I here? What is my purpose? What is next for me? Or to quote the hit Billie Eilish song, award-winning song, what am I made for? Often in our life, our future is not clear, and there are no guarantees. Whether it's moving to a new place or starting a new school, losing a job, joining a new team, whether we are experiencing relationship changes or wondering what it would be like to have a new minister. In times like these, we wonder if our neighbors and loved ones will be safe, or whether our democracy will hold. We all face uncertainty, and our brains are hardwired to focus on danger. So we often worry about all the things that might go wrong rather than all the things that might be new and wonderful if we just step through that door. Truth is, we just don't know. Life is usually a mixture anyway. None of us can stay in a cozy drawer forever. So let us be like the seed and courageously face the unknown. Like the seed, our new beginnings also spring out of the darkness and out of the unknown. Today, at the conclusion of Holy Week, Christians around the world celebrate Easter by affirming the triumph of light, love, and life over darkness, hate, and death. The symbolism of the empty tomb is not understood as an end, but as a new beginning. The story of Jesus reminds us that in the darkness of the tomb, as in the darkness of the soil, there is a transformative new beginning. There is a time of expansion and growth that begins with the breaking open of the seed. We all must be broken open and therefore opened to find the empathy and compassion necessary for us to take an active role in tending this community, our sacred garden. Ultimately, we are deeply rooted in the soil of this community and our UU values. So let us grow strong together and bear the fruit of our resolve. May we connect with Mother Earth and accept an active role in the fate of our garden and our planet. And may the flowers of our deeds fully bloom as we stretch out our branches in the name of equity, social justice, and social action. It all starts with soil and the seeds. So shall it be. Let's take a look on the screen. Thank you.
It's cool to see what happens under the soil in the dark. There is a popular saying that captures what is for me the theological essence of the Christian story of Easter as told in the Gospels. The saying is this: they tried to bury us. They forgot we were seeds. This phrase is based on a couplet by the Greek poet Dinos Christianopoulos, and it has been adopted by various liberation and resistance movements around the world. They tried to bury us. They forgot we were seeds. Persecution is never the end of the story. Destruction is never the end of the story. Death itself is never the end of the story. So what is the story? Well, this version of the story, as told in the Christian scriptures, is of a radical fringe Jewish community in the far corner in the east of the Roman Empire, a region called Judea in current Israel, Palestine. The first century community has formed around a charismatic teacher a mystic and prophet, a rabbi named Jesus, who preached a message of inclusive love, nonviolence, and liberation for the poor and oppressed. Jesus preached and practiced welcoming the stranger, feeding the hungry, healing the sick, visiting the imprisoned, and loving the enemy. In Jesus' time, as in ours, this kind of message implied a critique of the religious, social, and political order that prioritized some lives at the expense of many others. Sometimes Jesus' critique was more direct, like when he says, "Blessed are the poor, the persecuted, and the peacemakers, for they shall inherit the kingdom of heaven." This kind of message turns established power hierarchies upside down, which always in every era threatens those at the top. Which is why Christianity, which grew to become a religion of empire, has always also been a religion of resistance, of liberation. So eventually, the religious and political authorities in first-century Judea decide to silence this rabble-rousing rabbi in the hopes of disbanding his community before it could grow any larger. As the Roman authorities come to Jerusalem to detain Jesus during the observance of Passover, many of his friends and followers scatter and abandon him because they are afraid. Although he has committed no crime, the Roman governor of Judea sentences Jesus to death on a cross in order to make an example of him. And I think of immigrants our own government has sent to prison in El Salvador without due process, and the disturbing photos of detainees and inmates that are meant to send a message today. Crucifixion was a common form of execution in various ancient empires. It was intentionally humiliating, and it was a painful way to die. But Jesus stays true to his message of inclusive love to the end, asking God to forgive even those who capture and kill him. The women Jesus were closest to in his life stay with him until he draws his last breath. Then they watch from a distance as a good and righteous man takes Jesus' body down from the cross, wraps it in cloth, and lays it in a tomb sealed with a large boulder. Their anguish must have been terrible. According to Christian tradition, Jesus died on Friday. Saturday was the Jewish Sabbath, a day of rest. And on Sunday, the grieving women returned to the tomb to anoint Jesus' body. And they are shocked to find that the boulder that blocked the entrance has been rolled away and the tomb is empty. The gospel accounts vary about exactly what happens next, but in all of them, women are the ones who first learn through mysterious messengers and their own direct experience that Jesus has not entirely left them, that he has been resurrected and lives on in some mysterious way, not the same as he was before, but still a guiding presence for his disciples, inspiring them to continue gathering together and growing their movement, which of course they do, eventually branching off of Judaism altogether into the religion that we know as Christianity. There have been countless forms of Christianity over the millennia and countless meanings made of the stories about the death and resurrection of Jesus. We Unitarian Universalists are heirs to two main theological claims, both considered heretical in their time. One is that Jesus manifested God's love in a uniquely powerful way, but that he was human, not divine. And the other is that the most important thing about Jesus is that he reveals the universality of God's love. All are included in the kingdom of heaven, all of us. And it is our job to mirror that kingdom on earth. So for Unitarian Universalists, whether we identify with Christianity today or not, the Easter message is not that Jesus was a God-man who died for our sins, or that only those who believe in him are saved. Rather, the message for us is that we don't have to be God or wait for God to do what Jesus did. We too can put love at the center of what we do, work for justice and inclusion, practice forgiveness, mercy, work for peace, and prioritize the needs of the most vulnerable, which today includes endangered species and ecosystems. This is how we keep Jesus alive, and Mahatma Gandhi, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, Oscar Romero, Harvey Milk, Nelson Mandela, Thich Nhat Hanh, John Lewis, all of the people, known and unknown, who have inspired movements for freedom, justice, equity, and inclusion throughout history. This is how we keep any of our beloved dead alive, isn't it? By remembering them and continuing the best of their legacies through the way we live together. On Friday, I participated in my first Good Friday service with local progressive Christian colleagues because this year I needed it. I needed a ritual that holds space for anguish and names the ongoing reality of crucifixion, of death dealing, state-sponsored and religiously justified repression. I needed to immerse myself deeper in this story and its contemporary parallels because I need all the support I can get to crack open and rise now in solidarity with others. Deepening into the Easter story has put me in deeper touch with the power of our Unitarian Universalist faith, which calls us to side with love. Not tepid love, but radically inclusive, transforming, life-giving, life-affirming, liberating love. To put ourselves on the line for it. The Easter story of resurrection reminds us that there are things much stronger and more powerful than empire, violence, domination, or death. Things like love, the desire for freedom, the thirst for justice, the vision of world peace, God, Mother Earth, life itself. Those in power can try to bury them. They are doing so now, but they will not succeed in the end because these things will not stay buried. Like seeds and like the Spirit of Jesus, they will rise again in new forms. They will rise again in the hearts, minds, and bodies of those who survive and in future generations who long for a world of peace, freedom, justice, and belonging for all. A world where the whole community of life can flourish in shared abundance. UU Minister Kendall Gibbons writes, "The dead don't rise, but we do. One day it happens. You take a breath and it doesn't hurt to breathe. You start to see people again, really see them. Hope rises. Community rises. You rise. We rise. Life rises. Not because death isn't real. Crucifixion is not just pretend. But something else is just as real, maybe even more real. Something happens next. That is the other thing we know for sure. Life rises, outrage rises, love rises, faith rises, tears rise, hope rises. We are rising. Blessed be, and amen.
There's a way we all want to feel, branches that reach to the sky.
Sometimes we cannot reach our arms that wide. Can't feel the sun rise. Feel only the dark around our eyes. There's a moment when formless mystery becomes a butterfly, becomes spring. But for now, we decompose and make the soil so rich we can grow. After all this, oh, grief, pain, and darkness, await our fear and every and let never be a sea, and I never be a
Trees grow after seeds have died. Changes upon